guys, I guess you can say the Holy Trinity is what shareholders are really looking for this reporting season. And we saw it really yesterday with Suncorp results. And the Holy Trinity is that increase in dividends, a special dividend, and cap it all off is an on-market buyback. And we saw that yesterday from Suncorp, which had an ordinary dividend, a final dividend of 40 cents, a special of 8 cents, and then just to top it off, to put the icing on the cake and light the candle and then not even blow it out, an on-market buyback of 250 million bucks. And the stock was up 7.6 or something percent yesterday. So it did pretty well. And that's, I guess, is what the market is being held up for. And to some extent, it's been a bit like you guys are too young to remember Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier and the golden years of heavyweight boxing, when it was the rope-a-dope, and the market it's being held up a bit like Ali used to take to the ropes and be held up while he took all this punishment. And every day we see, COVID cases in Sydney and elsewhere in the country and worldwide increasing, but the market shrugs it off. And some people scratch their heads and go, what, why? And one of the reasons why is the reporting season is on us, and it's all about dividends. It's all about that holy trinity for shareholders, and the fact that it's being held up. Now, what happens after it remains to be seen. Ali took a lot of punishment on the ropes and then came back and won. So it's going to be interesting, but it's all about dividends, that holy trinity of shareholder benefits and company largesse this season, that's for sure.
Yeah, now, Henry, there's one company that comes to mind when we think dividends, one that broke the record for the biggest dividend payout. But we'll get to that in a second, because I want to stick on this Holy Trinity concept for a moment. You mentioned Suncorp has delivered the Holy Trinity for shareholders. Are there any other companies that have delivered it so far, or are there any that you're expecting to deliver it this reporting season?
Well, I guess the resource stocks generally, and I think BHP and Fortescue will be at the forefront. And given what we've seen from Rio, and you sort of hinted at that recently, they paid $9.1 billion in dividends. It's extraordinary the amount of money they paid, an interim dividend of $5.61. So it was massive. Special dividend there as well. So we are expecting big things, I guess, from BHP and Fortescue. BHP coming up on the 17th of August, so not for a little while, and Fortescue right at the back end of reporting season. And Twiggy's set to get around $4 billion in dividends for himself, which is pretty interesting. I'd love to see him do his tax return with his fully franked dividends there. But so those are the ones, I guess, and those are the ones that will probably want to outdo Rio. The only thing that could temper their enthusiasm could be the fact that the iron ore price has pretty much tanked in the last few weeks. It's gone from 220 to 170, and everyone's been quite sanguine about this big fall. It is a big fall, a $50 fall in the price of iron ore. That puts a dent in your profits. The only thing that people have been sanguine about is no one really believed the $2.20, I think it's fair to say, or 220 rather, it's fair to say, and none of the brokers had that in their estimates. And a lot of people were still going for around 170, 180. I think the government still got in $57 a tonne for iron ore, which is pretty stupid. It's a bit like the vaccination forecast. So I suspect that the disappointment that we've seen from corporates, BHP and Fortescue, with that iron ore price falling, may temper their enthusiasm a little bit. And Rio may have sort of got to peak cycle in terms of dividends